Hello everyone and welcome to another video. When you go to the ride selection screen to build a ride, you will see an icon for every ride type that is available to you. But have you ever wondered where these icons come from? A lot of them actually come from parks that you can access yourself, as they are just scenarios in the game. For example, the icon for the wooden coaster with the default trains was taken in Rollercoaster Tycoon 1's Blackpool Pleasure Beach. If we make the train yellow, remove the hypercoaster and remove this wall piece, we get a perfect recreation of that icon. In this video I will go through all the rollercoaster icons in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 and show where they are from. If they're not from any park or pre-built design, I have recreated the icon myself. I'm only doing the 56 coaster icons from the base game, as that already makes the video pretty long, and the expansions are less interesting anyway, as most of them were taken in a random park that was never included in the game. Oh, and at the end I will also show you what the parks where the icons for the 3 new coaster types in RCT2 were taken in look like. We're doing this in alphabetical order, so the first one is the air-powered vertical coaster. There isn't a single air-powered coaster in any scenario before the expansions, but there are 2 pre-builds. Theoretically, it could be a recolored version of either of those, as the icon is just the top of a spike, but it's more likely that it's a custom one, which I have recreated right here. The bobsleigh coaster has 2 different trains. The icon for the standard bobsleigh trains was taken in Blackpool Pleasure Beach, with the only alteration being red trains instead of blue ones. The 6-seater one looks like it comes from Vibora in Six Flags Over Texas, as it has the same color scheme, but it doesn't match up anywhere. Instead, it's a custom design. It is possible that all these custom ones were actually proper designs originally, but there is no way to know that, so I'm just building what's necessary to make the icon and don't care if it's actually a good, nice coaster. The compact inverted coaster is from another Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 scenario, Southern Sands. You do need a few more scenery items to complete the look, but other than that, it's a perfect match. There are 2 other coaster types that are basically just a compact inverted coaster with different trains and access to slightly different elements and operating modes. The inverted shuttle coaster and the inverted vertical shuttle. The inverted shuttle coaster is taken from the pre-built lobotomizer with some mine-theme scenery pieces added. The inverted vertical shuttle is from the pre-built Deja Vu with some slightly different scenery than what it comes with, as the supports on the sides have been removed. It could theoretically also have been taken in Six Flags Magic Mountain, but a lot would have to have been changed there, including even the terrain color. They did use a lot of RCT1 scenarios, as the corkscrew coaster is from another one, Alton Towers. This makes sense, as the graphics didn't change between the 2 games, so all they had to do is put on the new trains if necessary and maybe alter the scenery and colors a little bit. The ones that come from pre-builds are fascinating, as you might have looked at the icon in many different situations and parks, yet never realized it. If you build the flying coasters updraft and put some trees in exactly the right spots, you will have perfectly recreated the icon. The Giga Coaster is another custom one, and this one was quite tricky to get right. There are 2 different turns and there's also a tiny section of some hill in the bottom right. After trying many things and even enlisting the help of my Discord server, we did finally manage to get it right, and it looks like this. Up next is the Hardline Twister Coaster, which has 2 vehicle variants, standard and reversed. However, if you look closely, you can see that both icons are exactly the same and both use the standard vehicle. The Hardline has 2 pre-builds, and the smaller of the 2, Twicky Twister, was used for the icon. The hypercoaster that we removed at the start for the wooden coaster is the Pepsi Max Big One, and by removing the car right behind it you get the icon for the hypercoaster. We've been to Blackpool for a few coasters already, and this definitely won't be the last time either. The Hyper Twister coaster has 2 different trains, a 6-seater and a 4-across one. The 6-seater is a custom design that was very tricky to get exactly right. The track itself was easy, no problem, but the hill behind it took quite a long time to get 100% accurate. The 4-across one does come from a pre-build, namely Raven Racer. To match the icon you need to replace the yellow with red, recolor the trains a bit and add some trees behind it. For the inverted coaster we go back to Alton Towers, specifically the ride Nemesis. Make it red, recolor the train, change the queue line and you have a perfect inverted coaster icon. The inverted hairpin is an obscure enough coaster type that it's not built in many scenarios, and the icon isn't from the only pre-built Hawk's Nest either. So I had to custom build the scenery around it, which consists of a bunch of abstract pieces with some different terrain behind them. Next up is the inverted impulse coaster, for which the colors and the track perfectly fit with the very inventively named pre-built design Impulsive. The trees are kinda far away from the coaster, but they line up perfectly when you look at it from the right angle. The junior coaster has 3 different trains, of which only one seems to be from anything. The Ladybird trains have a layout that I wasn't able to find anywhere, and the same goes for the more medieval looking log trains. I thought that the very obscure panda trains were not from anything either, and I had already built a recreation, but then someone pointed out it's actually just a yellow mango muncher. Next is the laydown coaster, which is very simply just the Mystic Flight pre-built with a few trees added. The LIM launched coaster is quite interesting. It could theoretically be the pre-built lava launch as the track matches up, but the scenery is so incredibly different that I doubt it. So instead I built my own LIM coaster with all the right scenery items to recreate the icon. For the looping coaster we go back to another Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 scenario, Mega World Park, and this won't be the last time we're here. The mine ride is a very quick and simple custom coaster that can't be found anywhere, but for the mine train coaster we return to Mega World Park. We don't even need to alter anything, it's straight from the press here. Up next is the mini roller coaster, which just like the junior coaster has 3 different vehicles, of which 2 have custom icons. The automobile cars one looks like it's from somewhere, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Getting the timing right between the 2 different cars in the image took quite a while, and it's still not perfect, but it's close enough. The coaster I built for the rocket cars looks very odd, which is because at first I had built the chain lift the wrong way and I had to change that without changing the rest of what's in the icon. It might seem like it doesn't matter, but if you look closely you can see a slight difference in color. The third vehicle is the toboggan cars, and they are a bit simpler as their icon is taken directly from the Cairngorm bobsleds pre-built. We're roughly halfway through now, and I want to talk about a few of the difficulties that I encountered while making these icons. I already mentioned the timing aspect when there are multiple vehicles in the same image, but there is much more. The support can be an utter arse to get right, even if it's a pre-build. This is because the placement of the support is determined by where in the park you build the ride, not by the ride itself. For standard pieces, every other tile gets a support, and which tiles get them is laid out ahead of time in a chessboard pattern. Here, every sand tile will get a support, while rock tiles won't. So you might build the perfect coaster icon, but then find out that you have to move it over one tile to get the supports right. Trees are also annoying, as you cannot rotate them yourself, and instead they spawn in a random rotation. The different angles of trees often look very similar anyway, making it even more difficult to get that right angle. I know that some of the trees and other scenery items in this video are in the wrong rotation, but it's so much effort to get that all exactly right, so it's close enough. Scenery items that only have a few pixels in the frame, such as this mining house from the inverted shuttle coaster, can be quite tricky to deduce which ones they are as well. Also, when recording the actual footage for this video, the trains may sometimes skip over the exact position that they're in the thumbnail and be a pixel or 2 off on either side. Lastly, guests sitting in the trains or walking around are so unpredictable that I don't even bother trying to get them the same as in the image. Alright, back to the icons. The mini suspended coaster, which is the worst coaster type in the game and deserves all the hate it can possibly get, is a bit easier. The standard swinging cars are from the Batflyer pre-built with a little bit of water under it, and for the laydown vehicles we once again return to the plentiful Mega World Park. The next coaster type is the multi-dimension coaster, and many of you will easily recognize this as X from Six Flags Magic Mountain. You do need to remove the scenery and the corkscrew coaster Viper behind it, change all the terrain to brown sand and put in a few hills, but other than that it's a perfect match. From the letter M we skip straight to R and have arrived at the reverse freefall coaster. Just like the air-powered coaster, this could be any design, but the colors do match the pre-built Force 9 perfectly, so my guess is that that one was used. Now it's time for a quick lightning round. The reverser coaster is taken from the pre-built Timber Turnaround. The side friction coaster is from Creaky Dips, the spinning wild mouse is the pre-built Mutant Mouse, and the spiral coaster is Percolator with a few Martian scenery pieces added. After those 4 pre-builds we once again go back to Mega World Park for the stand-up coaster. We do need to change the colors a little bit, but the tracks and terrain do match. The Steel Wild Mouse can have mouse cars and mine cars. The second one is taken straight from the Flying Dutchman gold mine in Six Flags Holland, which I have actually ridden before it was taken apart and moved to France. The mouse cars come from the pre-built Steel Squeak, and I just couldn't get all 3 cars to synchronize, so one of the black ones is a little bit out of position, unfortunately. Next up is the Steeplechase, which has 3 different vehicles available. The most well known are the horses, which you can find, unsurprisingly, in Mega World Park in the form of a nice dueling coaster. The motorbikes are just around the corner on the other side of the big orange corkscrew coaster. The soapboxes are a bit more obscure, so their icon is a custom design with an interesting twist. See these 2 scenery items under the little hill? They don't actually fit there in the game, so during development when this image for this icon was taken, the clearance checks were probably a little bit different still. By disabling those checks we can put them there now anyway, and it does look perfectly fine. The suspended swinging coaster also has 3 different trains available: standard, floorless and planes. For the standard one we have to travel to, say it with me, Mega World Park. This park really is the Swiss Army knife of coaster icons. The floorless train's image was taken in Six Flags Magic Mountain. When you remove the log flume and change the trains to floorless, you have the exact image. The planes train type is once again a little bit more unorthodox, so unsurprisingly it's a custom design. Next is the Twister coaster, which once again has 3 trains: standard, stand-up and floorless. The icon from the standard trains comes from the pre-built Contortion with some different colors. I also had to move around the queue line and the exit building, as you can see a tiny bit of the banner and exit in the bottom left of the icon. The stand-up one is a bit easier to get right, as it's taken directly from a recolored grapevine in Funtopia. And we stay in this park, as the floorless icon is taken from the exact same coaster, just from a different part and angle and with different colors. We stay in standard Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 scenarios for a little bit longer still, as the icon for the vertical drop coaster comes from the long-awaited sequel to Thunder Rock, Thunder Rocks. Change the color and it's identical. The Virginia Reel is from the pre-built Texas Tubs. Behind it you can see a station with the pagoda theme, and there is also some foliage on the right. I have trouble deducing which trees they exactly are, but what I have built is close enough that you probably would not be able to notice the difference. What we do know is that there is a hill under it, as the color of the grass that you can see through the supports is too light for flat ground. You may also notice that the supports look a little bit different, and you might have seen that with some previous icons as well. It's extremely difficult to get these right, and in this case the way that the supports are generated seems to be slightly different now anyway, so there's no way to get them perfect. Up next is the water coaster, which is taken straight from the loopy landscape scenario Sunny Swamps. The path is changed, as this path type isn't available in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. We've now arrived at the only coaster type with 4 different available trains, the wooden coaster. We already saw the standard trains in the intro of the video, but there are 3 more with the 6-seater, reverse 6-seater and articulated trains. The wooden coaster has by far the most pre-built designs of any ride type, so there are plenty of good spots to take these icons from. The 6-seater cars are from Brainstorm, with a few pine trees added for some ambience. The reverse 6-seater trains are from a pre-built more near the end of the alphabet, Whitewash. And believe it or not, despite having more than 25 other designs to choose from, the articulated trains are also from Whitewash, just a different angle and some different colors. We have one more coaster type left to go before we do the 3 open RCT2 ones, and that is the wooden Wild Mouse. For the mine cars we return to Mega World Park for the 8th and final time, and we're in the same pit that the mine train coaster icon was taken in. For the mouse cars icon we have to go to another popular park for coaster icons, Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Getting the timing right for the 2 cars was a bit tricky, but on the other hand I didn't have to alter anything this time. Those were all the Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 coaster icons, but we still have 3 more to do from Open RCT2, the hybrid coaster, single rail coaster and alpine coaster. Obviously none of these are in a scenario as they were created about 20 years after RCT2 was released, and they don't have any pre-builds either. The creator of these rides, who goes by the username Extreme256, has built 2 parks in which he took the icons. This park contains the rides for the hybrid coaster and single rail coaster. Just like me, he didn't bother building full parks around it and only made the area visible in the icon look good. The park for the alpine coaster does contain a big mountain with lots of big alpine rides, but that's not where the image was taken. Instead, it's on the smaller one that once again only looks good in that very spot. And that was all 59 of them. Let me know in the comments whether you would like me to also do this for the non-coaster ride types. It was a lot of fun searching for all of these, so I'd definitely like to do another one. To see me bust 15 myths about Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, click this video right here. Thank you all for watching and I will see you in the next video.